And we're live. Mal, why don't you give us an intro?
Hey everybody, Malachi, NFTCulture with our partner Pio. We have Mike, and we're going to have some other special guests today that we're really excited about everything that's going on in the NFT space right now. And I've got my test. Hold on. There we go. Hold on.
Malachi's telling everyone that's watching to hold on, so you better listen to him. I see DNG992 just said, "What's up?" Mal, you good? You're muted, buddy. You're muted.
Man, technical difficulties on a Friday. I don't have business meetings before you go live on stream. But it's an exciting day. We want to talk about the dogs. We want to talk about some of the other NFT projects, some of the challenges that a lot of people are going through currently. But I think we've got Danny, who's I don't think going to be joining us right now, but he actually has an auction that's ending in a few minutes. So Pio, I'm curious if you could talk a little bit more about that project and what makes it exciting.
Yeah, so I'm going to pull it up. So Danny is a friend of the show. You guys have probably seen Danny a bunch of times if you have, watched our content before. So I'm just pulling up this project right now. The project is called The Mighty Cocks. It's very funny. And all of the different cocks, which are like chickens right here, these were done by a Portuguese artist that Danny knows in person. And they all feature open sourced at this point, or like royalty free traditional art pieces that don't have copyrights at this point. Like right now I bought this Cezanne. There is an auction that he has going right now. I want to just pull that up. Here it is. Right now it looks like the top bid is 0.69 ETH. Very appropriate given that this is the mighty rare 69M cock. And so yeah, I mean, we've been having a lot of fun with this project. I think that the name is hilarious. I told a friend of mine that isn't in the NFT space about it yesterday, about how like a friend of our show talked about the mighty cocks, and that, he's saying like, post a picture of your cock and show your cock and everything. Just very funny, very appropriate, I think, for the NFT space. And no surprise, it's doing, fairly well from what I can tell. I mean, I bought 2 of them to support Danny N because I think it's a cool and funny project, but Danny's the guy that you can tell when he gets involved with the project, it's going to be good. So, not financial advice, but there it is, the mighty rare 69M cock by Danny San.
Yeah, I bought I bought one of these too, and I got a second one because I won a challenge that he had put on. So the one I got is pretty cool. It's like you said, Pio, it's a Portuguese artist. The one that I got is it's a mighty cock made from a Portuguese artist's work. So like I think he was like a 19th century artist or maybe early 20th century artist that did some really cool stuff in that culture's history. So the way he integrated the artwork into the cock is really cool because it's like got like a really red half. It just looks really good. So that's the one I bought. And then he did a challenge where you could, if you solve these riddles on his Twitter account, he was giving away an NFT for each riddle that was solved. I think it was something like 22 riddles. And so I was able to solve one of the riddles. And so the reward for that specific one was a custom, what he's calling rare cocks, where they, the last, I think 5 of the first 69 were rare ones. And so this one is just kind of it's like a digital. So it's the mighty rare digital cock. So it's just 1s and 0s on it. It's kind of silly looking, but it's kind of fun. It's a custom artwork. I found the image. He's made sure that I find a image that we can attribute and use without a copyright issue. So I tracked down one that I liked, and then they made it for me. So it's pretty cool artwork. It was pretty cost effective. I think the ones that probably me and you both, Pio, bought were 0.022 so ETH, so not super expensive and pretty good art for what they are. So I think kind of a cool project. It's cool to kind of give back to some kind of like not well-known artists, especially in the Nifty space, and support their work. So we got 2 minutes left on this auction.
2 minutes left to claim the mighty rare cock. What's up, Malachi?
Oh shoot, we lost you again, Mal.
I think you're muted again, bud.
I double mute myself. Yeah, it's a cool project, and it's fun to just see Danny innovating and really, this is his second type of NFT that he's already started going in on and helping with. So I think he's really adopted the principle of getting out there ahead of these types of things and creating value and really bringing a lot of the cultural relevance and the things that he's incredibly passionate about for these types of projects. So it's really cool. I picked up a piece as well. I want to be careful how I word it in case my kids are accidentally watching, but it's fun to watch, and we can't wait to see how this ends and what comes after this. I know that there's going to be an additional set of these cocks released after he's back from vacation in October. So it'll be really interesting to see just how this project evolves and changes. And what's interesting is like right now, everyone's just used to seeing like, oh, let's drop 10,000. And if they don't sell out in 12 minutes, the project's a failure. But this is pretty cool that it's going to be this ongoing process. And it's similar to the Blobs, which was another NFT project that's been on our radar, where they do these like controlled drops over time. So I think it looks cool. I think that the visuals are unique enough. Like I said, I picked one up. It's interesting to see how the other types of art are encapsulated in it and to see how that works and what excites people around that.
Yeah, so I'm just showing the floor on the project here. It seems that there's 3 available for 0.1 right now, and then it jumps up to 0.22. You see a lot of this 22 theme with things that are associated with Danny, because he has a project that corresponds with 2/22/22. So in other words, February 22nd, 2022. So here we are, 18 seconds left. 0.69 is the current bid. I guess OpenSea has a minimum of a 1 ETH auction price. Like you have to bid at least 1 ETH to sell something on auction or in auction format on OpenSea. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe Danny might have to relaunch this just because the reserve wasn't met. But I think it, like we talked about, it's a really cool project by a friend of the show. And you get to hear Danny, if you watch this channel, he says a lot of interesting things, not just about NFTs, but about other spaces within finance and technology as well. So, thanks so much, Danny, for making a cool project and letting us get involved with it.
That's awesome. Why don't we pull up our special guest and then pivot and talk about the dogs, the beach dogs. That's a crazy announcements today with that project. It was supposed to be minted and they delayed it, which is surprising. So let's pull them in and then we can go into those details.
Yep. So I got Mr. Matt, aka NFT Prophet, a fellow YouTuber. What's going on, Matt?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Happy to have you here, man.
Most definitely. Been watching y'all's channel for a minute, and I appreciate you guys having me on the show.
Now, we're big fans of your YouTube and happy to have you promote your YouTube, and we'll share it in our Twitter after the fact. But what's really interesting about how we've came to circle each other is exciting, and it's just one of the cool things about this community, where a lot of other communities have a lot of infighting and those types of things. Where when we were actually covering the Beeple drop, when we first met Pio, and we didn't have our YouTube launched yet. And we couldn't stream on it. It was up, but we couldn't stream on it. And Beeple was doing its drop. We saw this bid go up in the Beeple auction, NFTCulture, and everyone starts asking us about NFTCulture. Oh, you guys are bidding? And like, Mike, are you buying another Beeple? He's like, no, that isn't me. And so we started doing digging, and we're like, oh, someone else is NFTCulture too. But it resolved itself. It's not like there was this conflict, and then you became Nifty Prophet, and then you completely randomly won an NFT from the Luchador project. I pulled up random.org and it went to you. And then when I DM'd you to get it to you, yeah. And then, so then we started chatting behind the scenes, and we thought it'd be good for you to come on. You take a different spin than we do in your analysis, but I think a rising tide lifts all boats, and we can all help each other in this community. So thank you so much for joining today.
Yeah, most definitely. And yeah, it's funny you said that. I was like, you guys had that name first, and yeah, that whole Beeple drop was absolutely insane. That's one thing I love to talk about in the future, because that whole leaderboard drop will go down in history, because Everyone thought it was going to end at that certain time point. And as you're watching it, I was like at number 57, and like 30 seconds later, I was out of it. And then, if everyone else was watching it, just kept climbing and going up and down. So that was pretty crazy moment for sure.
Yeah, and by the way, Matt, Malachi kind of gave you the rosy version of what really happened. We had to calm him down when he found out that you were using the Nifty Culture name.
I didn't know it was you. I just like, who the F?
Yeah, we had to calm him down. He was like, I want to destroy this guy. He was like making a whole plan, and we were like, you know what? He's probably okay.
I didn't know who you were.
Here we are.
I had the same thing. I was like, hey, honey, I got a problem. And she was like, what happened? What happened? I was like, of course it's like, a big thing to us, but she's like, that's so silly.
No, it was
all right. That was good.
It's crazy.
So I'm pulling up Top Dog Beach
awesome.
Club.
Well, why don't
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So this is crazy. The Top Dog Beach Club is so we had the creators on, which was really cool for me personally, because a lot of these projects are pseudo-anonymous or completely anonymous, and there's been a lot of rug pulling recently that has frustrated quite a few people. I've said it before, and once again, these are just my opinions. I think the art is fantastic. And some of the concerns that we aired around, can the market sustain another 10,000 drop dog? Is the timing of this as we head into the holiday weekend, all of these types of things. And I don't want to pretend for a moment that we had any influence on this whatsoever. But what's interesting about what they did is they went back to their community, their Discord, and they took a lot of polls. They took a lot of insights. They met with Sven and Joff, shout out to them, who are OGs, know a lot of the market, have been involved in some massive drops elsewhere. And they were very communicative with everyone. And so on Discord, they started talking about they're going to delay the drop until July 6th. They're going to refine some of the stuff that they're working on, which is really important because many of these drops, I don't want to name the one, but it was done a little bit recklessly, and others, Yetis and others, just the art didn't fit together well because they were rushed and they felt obligated to go and promote those types of things. So they're moving the drop to the 6th. They're doing some community things for the founders. There's going to be access to 500. And what's interesting about that is there's confusion where could the first 500 buy 20 dogs each and basically buy all of the available. That's not the case. Each of the first 500 will only be able to mint one dog. So before it opens for everyone else. So we're fixing the supply and demand issues. And what's really interesting, and this is almost breaking news, is that they're lowering the supply of dogs from 10,000 to 8,000. And they ran a poll internally. We ran a poll externally on our own just because general avatar fatigue that we're seeing. We actually saw that a lot of people are recommending 6,000 or fewer drops. We've seen that the Gutter Cats and others are being successful with that. But it's impressive and shocking that a team would come out, show their faces, share their passion, take community feedback, which sounds shocking, create amazing art with cool roadmap, and then lower the volume. And they're not increasing the price. So they're going to keep the price 0.08. They originally asked, like, if we lower the price, if we lower the quantity and we raise it to 0.1, would people be okay with that? Which would be a wash if the primary sells out. And so they're actually going to leave the price at 0.08. So I'm shocked and impressed that a team would be this receptive. And it's just a sign for me that the market is starting to mature a little bit. And the good guys are starting to hopefully get some W's out of this. So I'm curious if you guys have any comments. I'm a lot closer to the dogs, I think, than y'all, but would love y'all's take.
So can you talk a little bit more about the 500 versus the remaining 7,500? Is that just people? Did you say it's people that they know that they're just opening it up for specific addresses, or?
It was the first 500. The first 500 members on Discord are part of what they call the TDBC, Top Dog Beach Club, founding members. and those 500 essentially have access to it. And I'm lucky, like I found out about it soon enough that I was one of the first 500, and it's accidental. And they even thought about, how does that affect things? But they felt because there's certain things that you can meander on, and there's certain things like once you state it, it's going to be really hard. And so they clarified, okay, the first 500 can't buy 20 each, but they can get one. So 500 out of the 8,000 are going to be available for the early adopters for I think like 20 to 30 minutes before it goes live for everybody else.
Have they said how they're going to enforce that? I'm just curious the mechanics of it. Like,
so they're really smart. I don't want to like they had it figured out on their own. Sven had a couple recommendations. So there's a few different ways that you can do it. They thought about airdropping them. I think I don't want to speak for them. We'd love to have them back on and go into those details, but this is just what I've seen. Airdropping was, I think, all agree that it's a bad idea because it looks like gifting. It looks like, and we think about the authenticity of the blockchain and those types of things. They also have thought about, do they collect the MetaMask wallet ID ahead of time from the founding members, and so that they can actually get in and mint for 20 minutes before. There's been some discussion where do the 500 members get essentially a token that they could then burn and swap for that. So I think they have 4 more days to figure that out. I don't know the minutia of it, but I think that they have it figured out pretty well.
Okay.
And we'll know after the fact very quickly what that method was. Yeah. Yeah,
I would just worry that some exploity McGee out there will figure out that, oh shoot, well, if you just call some function on the contract directly, anybody can get one of those. I'm sure they're already thinking of that, but that's where my mind immediately goes.
And that's what's been happening with a lot of these, even with the pickles. I got TX swapped. I thought I had a poop pickle, and I got a different pickle. So that is something that they're cognizant of, and looking behind the scenes. I think they're also, once again, they're taking feedback from some of the smartest people in the business. And so, yeah, I'll get you all that info as well. So maybe we can provide some clarity before it drops. Maybe we can go live on the 5th to talk about it.
Yeah, one thing that they definitely got right is I think every dog is desirable. Like, in a lot of these projects, there have been, generated pieces that just aren't like desirable. Like I don't think people would pay for them. And when I'm looking at this, we got the guy with the mink coat, the sunglasses, and like the cigarette coming out of his mouth. We have the dog with the top hat and the bone. Even that dog right there, like the prissy one with the dress or whatever, like the coat. All of them, I think, are really like solid looking. And just the fact that they're really taking the feedback, they're asking their community for feedback, they're asking experts in the community for feedback, and making adjustments accordingly. I think it will be a successful drop, at least on the primary market. I think it's very hard to tell what will be a successful drop on the secondary market, but I do think that I'll buy at least one dog. And I'm also a founding member. I saw some people shouting out founding members in the chat, like the first 500 people in the Discord. So I get to mint a dog before the general public, which I think is the way it's supposed to be. Okay. Just kidding.
I would also like to state, and because I do look at things a lot differently, and just based on how the NFT space has been evolving, I actually disagree with the amount of mintable, how many are minted. I actually think the numbers should be increased, and this is mostly due to the amount of members in the NFT space now. One interesting thing, because it's moving so fast, because I think mostly the community members are fixated on profit margins, on what the NFT might be worth. So a lot of people are saying, like, Gutter Cat, since there's only 3,000 of them, there's not as many. So hey, yeah, the floor price is 1 ETH. But what does that really do to the community? It limits it. It can only get so big. Just as an example, as I was talking in my last video, just December on Beeple's Open Edition drop, only about 200 people signed up for it. If you did that same drop today, it would be tens of thousands. And if you're thinking about the future, 6 months from now, we need projects with a bigger community that we're going to build. And I think they're trying to limit it to a smaller amount, and I think we need to maximize it. And that's just my opinion. I think that's what Meebits kind of did when they did the 20,000. I think they're thinking about the future and not necessarily what's hot right now. But that's just my 2 cents.
No, it's funny. Go on, Mike.
Let me go. I really like that take, and I've kind of touched on that in a few different ways in the past. Like I've talked about, like some artists kind of have a commodity piece. Like you look at Mad Dog Jones, he has his Cats piece, which had an edition size of 900, which kind of opened it up to a larger group of people. And look at how he was able to build a community, because 900 people are able to afford a Mad Dog Jones, which they wouldn't have been able to if it was a smaller size. Look at Bitcoin Angel with Trevor Jones, another big, really large edition that everybody was upset about, but it allowed a community to kind of be built. I think the same goes for these Nifty drops. Like look at kind of the pickle thing, although there were some I think where you get into a little bit of trouble is when you have these big speculators buying up huge chunks, which we all know certain speculators did buy up huge chunks.
Sophisticated speculators.
But I do really like that idea of what is valuable about these projects. The number one most valuable thing about the projects is the community. And if you have a super limited community, then there's not going to be as much value there. So I definitely think, like, I kind of agree with your take of if they start trying to appease investors and collectors too much, they actually will like reduce the overall long-term value of the project because the community won't be as rich.
So what's interesting is Joff has this take as well, and Joff has been in communication with the team too. And I think there's a couple different things at play here. It's timing, right? Like, if we're in the same period of time that we were where Nifty Gateway projects, whether they were amazing, beautiful pieces of art or not, were less valuable than they were at the time of minting. And we can go into all those discussions of like, should you buy art that you're buying it just to flip, or should you keep it and hold it? I think I always say buy art you love and you're never going to lose. But I think it's the timing of this and it's social signal. Like, hey, we're taking your feedback. Hey, we've augmented this. We're not going all the way down to 6,000 like the Gutter Cats. I agree that I think, and I've disagreed with Danny on this, that I think the Gutter Cats have too few people, that even if 3,000 people, 50% ownership, so 1,500 cats that exist, you can only have one avatar. The overlap between cats and apes is pretty high. And then you think about the generations of, like, my kid watches us talk all day about Nifties, which he's probably tired of. I know my wife is, but he's going to want Nifties. He already wants them. He wants to create Nifties. And so you think about just the next generation of people in these rare drops where it is limited access. I personally think that they read it right, given how many animal-based avatars have launched in the last 2 days or 3 weeks, and the timing of their launch, decreasing the supply a little bit, not increasing the prices, giving the secondary market room to breathe, and building a massive community, and then incentivizing people with the Bone token to actually hold on. I think given the unknown market dynamics, they're doing the best they can, is my take. But I do hope in the future that there are, if you think about the LaMelo drop, that was 10,000, only 8,100 were minted, but 8,100 people would fill a third of a basketball stadium on a given night. So like a LaMelo fan, there could be millions of drops and it wouldn't even have the coverage once NFTs go mainstream. So I think your point's really well made, where like, how do you deal with the current market and then the future of everything? So have you thought about that in more detail?
One thing that just popped into my head, and you might have been addressing that to Matt, but it's crazy that 8,100, you're selling 8,100 LaMelo Ball pieces, right? And they're like 0.1, 0.01 up to 1 ETH. Like, think about the tickets to an NBA game. Like, I don't think you could probably get a ticket for less than 200, maybe less than, you certainly could get one for less than $100, at least to a Mavericks game. So most of the tickets are going to be like, easily 0.1 ETH or more. And it's crazy that, people will pay that for one night and then they wouldn't pay that for the actual Nifty, which is going to have long-term, possibly career-term value. So I just that's just some crazy thing I just thought of. Malachi dropped, so he wasn't able to hear my point. But yeah, I think it's people are still trying to figure out this space and try to figure out like what any of this stuff means. And so it's like anybody's guess is as good as, you know, as anybody else's.
And yeah, that's very true. There's this, it's a very insane technology, and there hasn't been a foundation built for this yet. And soon we're going to have massive projects that we have to please to. And great example, like some of these generative art projects are targeting such a small audience. But what if someone like Marvel or DC Comics, which are just getting into NFTs, imagine if they drop the generative art project and their fan base is not thousands, it's millions. And this is a prime example of where you can increase that mint size by the tens of thousands. And you have a larger audience, then you have a bigger supply. Yeah, you have a bigger demand than the supply. And that's a prime example of where, how do we target that? And I think by limiting it to what it is now, we have to look at the next big thing. And great example as I was using was when I was saying around December, it was probably roughly like 1,000 people, maybe 2,000 people max in the NFT space. At this moment now, you can easily 10x that number. There's probably like easily almost 20,000 people in this space. I can honestly say we can 10x it from here, from this year, from a year from now. And if you think about that, that's over 200,000 people that are going to be in this. So when you think about that, that's only a year from now. We got to be thinking about projects that can supply that type of demand. And that's just kind of how I'm thinking. I think people are thinking such short term. A great example, like Bulls on the Block, just my opinion. It's an okay project, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe this group met up in like a Discord on Bored Ape Yacht Club, and they literally churned this project out in like 2-3 months tops. And in my opinion, you can kind of see it. And I think if a community, a big company like I was mentioning, really got together, put some time and investment and some big money into this, that's why we're talking about where this NFT space is really going to go. My mind's going to be blown away to see what's going to happen. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting because Marvel just announced, so Vive was doing a little bit with DC Comics, and they actually just had a drop on May 27th. And if you scroll down, like the Batgirl dropped $40, and they dropped 13,800, sold out immediately. Catwoman, 10,800, sold out immediately. Supergirl, $89.99, sold out. 3,800, sold out immediately. Marvel's now coming to Vive. Vive, you can actually, it's on Immutable X, which is layer 2 Ethereum, and it's environmentally conscious, allegedly, and you can buy all of those NFTs on your iPhone or Android device. And so like we're at this weird inflection point where like these AR, VR NFTs can move tens of thousands in a minute already, right? There's people that are buying them, but then the crossover to the MetaMask wallet, the crypto bros, and all of this, and it's tangential to like the altcoin people who are just coming in for those profits and some of those challenges there. So you're spot on, I think, short term. And I think the LaMelo drop, I had to go off screen to get some water, but I was listening to Mike. Is like, that's the ultimate rarity. Let's pretend for a minute LaMelo does go to the Lakers, and a bunch of one of 8,000 people could have access to this limited access to LaMelo. Those are $1 million each, right? If you think that there's 8,000 people that can afford $1 million to get closer to a superstar, it's insane to think about. And so it's like, how do we best guide collectors and artists as we're in this transitionary phase, as we're heading into the mainstream? That's the tricky part, I think, for everybody right now.
No question. And I have the LaMelos pulled up right here. I bought one of the blues, and so the blues dropped at 0.1, and there's been several sales at 0.17, and I think it's been about a week. So our suspicion that we talked about when we were live covering this drop was that LaMelos fans haven't actually arrived at the NFT space yet, and I think that that's pretty accurate and playing out. Like, someone that has 0 Ethereum, that's never bought crypto, like typically they don't just go from having 0 exposure to it to like going all in like one day, right? Because it's kind of like a big leap for you to just put a bunch of money into something that you have no understanding of and you don't know anything about, and then use, buy money with it, right? Buy like Ethereum with it, and then use that Ethereum to buy this NFT. It's kind of a lot to digest, but I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing more and more trickle in. And these are selling for 0.17, so almost 100% profit. I listed mine for 0.22, and we're seeing a lot of the reds sell for 0.02 when they originally were 0.01. So anyone that aped into the 0.01 price point, I think is pretty satisfied with their purchase. And I think that over time, it'll probably progress in a pretty solid way. We have Danny in here, so I'm going to bring Danny in. And Danny bought 5 Lamellos. So I'm curious to see what he thinks about the Lamello situation. What's going on, Danny?
Hey, how you all doing? Can you hear me?
We can, buddy. How's it going?
Oh man, I miss you guys. Honestly, I do.
It's been like 4 days.
No, it hasn't. It hasn't been 4 days. I'll tell you why. Because for the last week, I was totally immersed in the Easter egg hunt and then the cock thing. And so for the last week, we were chatting and stuff, but I didn't even know that the dogs were dropping today or that the Beeple Renew was dropping today. I didn't know that. So I feel I miss you guys already, and I don't see how 2 months are gonna go by without, I'm so happy to have met you guys, really. So thank you for everything, and I'm glad that I get to be one more time up here before my vacation begins. Wow, just a few minutes just to share the love, and so good to meet you. Is it Matt? Is NFT Prophet Matt?
Yeah, short for Matthew. Yeah.
Okay, hi Matt. Nice to meet you. Really great pleasure.
What's going on, man?
You're in the right place. These guys are amazing, and well done for NFT Prophet, your channel, right? Well done for all of that, and that's it. Lamello, I bought a few. And because of you guys, I don't understand NBA and all of that. So it's definitely not going to be one of the projects that I'm going to be able to follow. And then I fat-fingered 2 of them. And I got in touch with the idiots through the Discord, and they decided not to give it back to me. One guy actually started bargaining. It's like, well, we can strike a deal here. Maybe. But I'm happy. I hope it will work out. And I would like to pop into the debate about community size versus scarcity and minting the total mint count. When we get back to that topic, I have a few thoughts to share too.
I gotta just drill in on this fat figure thing.
He was flipping pickles. He was trying to get rid of his pickle bags.
Just tell me. So you thought you were selling a different. You were trying to sell a different. He was like nifty.
0.02, pickle.
I saw the pickles. Right, I was sleeping when the pickles revealed. Thank God I was asleep. And then I woke up and I saw the pickles, and I had no hesitation. I just need to see the floor and go and put the price lower than that. And then I had 50 fucking pickles. So you can see how this gets. And in the middle of all of that, there's my Lamellos. So and I put it all at 0. What was it? 0.022. I started selling the pickles at.
Okay.
And in the middle of that, 2 Lamellos disappeared. And then I don't know, it was Mal or Pio. Somebody reached out to me and said, "Dude, your Lamellos." Somebody from the community reached out and said, "Your Lamellos are under mint price." I'm like, what?
It was friend of the show, Darren.
I'm like, what? And then he got me into the Discord, and we found the 2 guys that bought them. And then we're not going to go into the whole drama. I mean,
were they just like you put them up there, and they were just immediate? Like, how long were they up?
For seconds, literally for seconds. I don't know. I was selling pickles. I sold every single pickle. I kept 1 pickle. It's not rare. It's just the only one that's bearable. It says hodl, and I'm a hodler, so and also for collector purposes. One day I want to say, I had a pickle, and then you never know. These things become memes. I mean, Nick and so many other people are really smart, so I want a pickle. And but that's the story on the Lamellos. But I got 3. I got 3 of my Lamellos, and I'm happy about that. And I'm hoping that these ideas about American sports work out and that these grow up in value. I'll never be able to really use them, right? Like to get the merchandise or whatever. It's just, but I'm game. You guys know me. I'm going to have a dog, one of these, what are they called? Summer dogs? Summer camp dogs? What is it? I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah, this whole week, you wouldn't believe it. I've been working my ass off to get that collection up and the Easter eggs. I was way over my head. Like when I said, hey, 22 Easter eggs, I thought this is going to be over in 2 hours. You guys saw it. It went on for days. And it was just too many. Next time I'm going to drop like 2 Easter eggs.
How many Twitter messages do you think you responded to over that time?
I haven't responded, just so you know, I have my Twitter messages has about 20 or 30 unresponded things and comments. I haven't been, it was just too much for me because of what we did yesterday, right? With the cocks and all that. You saw how much we did in such a small time. I mean, the João, the artist, he's never done anything like this. So it was, yeah, I loved it. And by the way, I'd like to share a thought for collectors out there. I was talking to King Shiro today. He's a friend of mine. He's in our Discord. And I was telling him about this thing and this Portuguese artist, and I was loving it. And he said, you know what happened to me? He said, you know what happened to me? Ken Shiro said, I came into the NFT space to be a flipper. And I was flipping for the first few weeks. And then all of a sudden, I started falling in love with some of my pieces, started meeting the artist. So now he's doing that often. He often meets artists that are nobodies or somebodies and works and collaborates with them. And I did this for the first time this week. And I've got to tell all collectors out there, really, this week was the greatest week of my NFT experience. Working with this artist one-to-one, exchanging ideas, getting it all up there, getting a little community together on the NFTC Discord. And by the way, artists out there, if your stuff is good, try and find me because I'm inspired. It was so cool to be able to work with an artist. So I think I'm going to do more of this, not so much to be a part of the minting and the launch. I don't want to be a part of the whole money part of it, but the whole helping him create the collection and he didn't know about rarities. That's why all of a sudden the rares appeared and things like this. And yeah, I fell in love with him. We're like big buddies now. And it's so cool that he's Portuguese. He lives literally 30 kilometers away from my home. So this was the greatest coincidence. I didn't know him before. We haven't met personally. We're meeting next Tuesday for lunch for the first time. But I got to share that with collectors. Flipping is great. I'm a flipper. If you go to my MetaMask account, you'll see how much flipping I'm doing. I'm learning with Nicking. Nick is the king of flipping, and I'm learning with him and with NFTC. But I just realized that this whole art thing, wow, you know. And final thing, you guys know I spoke to Android Jones and all of that, but he's like an OG artist, so he didn't really give me that much attention. This guy's a nobody, but he's an artist, and it was really great. So the whole week I've been out of it. Sorry, I didn't even know about the Beeple drop, which is shocking given that I own Beeples.
Dude, okay. we're gonna miss the hell out of you this summer. So like, just so everyone knows, Danny's not leaving us. He's taking a break with his goats and going to take a break. But and I gave the shout out. There's going to be another cock drop coming this October, where it's going to ramp back up.
And dropping, dude, like, man,
cocks are dropping.
Yeah, I don't know. Just so you guys know, I don't know when it's dropping because he wants to get the 222 out there as soon as possible. I'm on vacation. So what I've told him is, dude, you know, I'll help you out. And he wants to get the collection out there. So just if there are any future cock stars out there, people that want to get themselves a cock, pay attention to his Twitter feed because they might, or actually just pay attention to NFTC. I'll let you guys know and you guys can just let the community know. And then he'll probably mint the other remaining ones until 222 at 0.08 or 0.5 or something. He wants to finish the collection because just so you guys know, he came up with another idea for another collection, which is crazy. And he's like, I want to start that one. And I said, but we haven't finished this one. He says, I promise 222.
That's not good for the project.
For the cockers. I don't know. I'm going to be
the only project.
Yeah, but this is the OG project. If his next project is huge, then this will be even more valuable. So
I told the community right in the beginning, I said, I'm going to be pumping cockers until the first investors get 22 times their investment. And so far, about 5 or 6 cocks have sold their investment for 22x. So I'll be pumping it. I'm learning, you know, it's really important to understand something, to be able to know how to buy, you need to know how to sell. To know how to sell, you need to know how to buy in anything in life, whether it's real estate or whatever. And so I went through this 1 week pumping phase to see what it's like to be a pumper, a cock pumper. You know how many people out there actually know how to pump cocks? Honestly,
I'm
You'd be surprised. You'd be
Can we pull
surprised.
the art back up just so people can know?
I
what
am the
we're
master
talking
cock
about?
pumper. I'm the fucking master cock pumper. If you need your cock pumped, okay, there's one, you know, who you're going to call?
There's
Cock
one
pumper.
master.
Now, I'll be, don't worry, all the cock investors, don't worry. I've got your back. We're going to get the floor up to half an ETH or an ETH at some point.
Profit is actually a gamecock.
Yeah, I was gonna throw in like this guy with his cocks would have sold out in a single day at like a college football game. Our mascot is literally Gamecocks, and literally it just
Whoa.
coo-coo-coo, and people just wear shirts that say Cox, and it's big here. I mean, people love it. They have it out in their front yards. I mean, people got pets.
Where is
out here.
Where is this? We got to collaborate with them. Where is this?
This is in Columbia, South Carolina, and we do cockfighting down here too. So that's how you know it's big.
No cockfighting, right? That's there's no cockfighting
that's
in the
not
US.
good. No good.
Okay, but my cock will go up against your cock any day of the week. Okay.
Danny, I do want to say one thing real quick. All Ether is in here trolling like he always does, but I would love when you're back from vacation. So All Ether, and this is going to be the only time I can talk about this because we're focusing a lot on Black Dove moving forward. But All Ether has some really cool displays. But he likes to, you know, it's one thing to call someone paper hands and it's one thing to make money. And if you make 0.01 ETH on something, you made money. And so I just want to make sure like we joke and we have fun. And I'd love, Danny, when you're back, for you and All Ether, if you're willing and he's willing, like that would be the first comeback stream. Come in hot right after you're calm, to have those debates of, you know, when is it good to take profit versus if I buy something, and Mike and I disagree on this, in fact, where I don't think Mike has sold a single NFT that he's bought from Nifty Gateway. Pio, I don't think you have either. I'm the clown that's bought a bunch under Nifty Culture and is flipping them, and it looks bad because I'm representing the brand and I'm flipping pieces for profit and for losses. And so I think it's important for collectors and the audience to know that there's a million different ways. Some people, when they buy something, it is permanent. Like if I were able to afford a piece from Christian, No Creative Abode, for 4 ETH, I'm not buying that to flip it. I'm buying it to put on my display, and it's going to be there forever. But then there's these other pieces that you buy with intentional purpose to flip. I think for you, any Beeple is flippable except for your Giga Chad. And so I'd love for when you get back from your vacation, if we could go deep on that conversation with someone who has been critical of some of your strategies, so that you guys can have that nuanced debate if you're up for it. And I don't mean to put you on the spot. I just saw his comment in the feed.
No, I'm up for it. I've unblocked him, by the way, on our Discord. So we're all good again. He's a good guy. And I really appreciated many of his comments in the live that we did. So that's why I went and unblocked him. So I'm not going to have a smart guy blocked. Okay, kind of asshole-ish, but he's smart. So I don't mind a smart asshole. But just on that, my one thought would be there's definitely many different roles in any market, whether we're talking cars, whether we're talking discos or sports or NFTs. And so in the NFT field, just like in any market, you're going to have several segments, because the more segments we can get into the industry, the larger the industry can grow. One of those segments is aficionado collectors, people that know an artist, they follow the career of that person, they want that piece on the wall. For example, my Giga Chad, that I've done as an aficionado. Well, I don't even know if that's how you say it, but you get my point. Then you've got, you know, a whole bunch of other categories. And one of the categories, for example, is Jay-Z. He wants a punk. He wants to show off. He's got some ideas. He's getting in there. Another category is flippers. And what flippers do, they're very humble people. Most flippers are actually quite, not that high on the wealth chain. They're trying to figure it out. They're grinding it out. Like if you go to Vegas and you play poker, you go even in the same casino, you got tables where the poker is 1-2 and then 5-10 and then 20-40 and then 100. And that's, you grind it out on the 1-2s until you learn how to play poker. And then you maybe bump it up to the 2-4s. So I really respect flippers. I love flippers because flippers are bringing not only a little bit of money into the industry, but they bring a lot of energy and movement. Like you see things being bought and then sold. Secondary matters because of flippers. And secondary sends royalties to artists. So I think most artists should be actually happy to have a flipper community within them. It's actually better for the Bored Ape Yacht Club to have, I wouldn't say all 10,000, but to have, let's say, 8,000 of their apes flying back and forth for the next few years instead of just sticking in the wallets of 9,000 people. Because they get all the royalties in secondary, and there's movement and there's noise. So I see the pros and cons, but for sure, if you're going to be buying 50 something's minting and there's like 5,000 and you buy 50, for sure you're going to be flipping 10 or 15 or 20 of those to get your investment back and have the other ones there. I bought initially 30 cats. I then sold them all the way down to, I think, maybe 6 or 7 cats. I'm back up at 14 cats. So this is flipping, but 222 will never be sold. So cat 222 was minted, never be sold. Almost for sure my rank 14 will never be sold. I can't imagine selling a rank 14 cat. I mean, if somebody crazy comes along, but you can't call that flipping, that you got to call. So there you go. I'm sure there's the other side of the argument, but since he's presented it often enough, I stand for the flippers. And if you're a flipper out there, I respect you, because what you're doing, in my opinion, is even better than crypto asset investors. So I have a certain amount of ETH that I bought and it's stored away and I'm not touching it, right? Everybody knows I'm a Bitcoin maximalist. I'm just trying to make an example here. So I have a little bit of ETH in a wallet.
I agree.
Let me just say this one last thing.
Yeah, let him finish,
Just this one last thought. Sorry. I have some ETH in a wallet and I'm never going to touch it. And that ETH is going to value over time. But what I'm doing in OpenSea is I'm actually creating more ETH. I start with like 1 ETH, and if I do everything correctly, after a few months, I've got 2 ETH. And Ethereum is still going up. And then I continue doing it, I get better. I might get to 7 ETH, starting from 1 ETH. Probably would have been a smarter way to do it than just leave that original 1 ETH in my wallet. So there's a lot to think about. But Matt, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, you made a lot of great points, and I agree with most with what you're saying, but I think the problem is that flippers do bring that excitement. They make a project, they bring that hype, make it bigger than it is. But what happens is that too many times people see the dollar signs, and we sometimes got too many flippers and not enough collectors. And that's something that we were able to witness during that super mega hype from, was it like February all the way to like March, is that so many people from crypto markets started flooding the market thinking, hey, I'll just buy a bunch of open editions and then flip it for money. But the problem was there weren't enough collectors to buy it. So too many editions were being minted. But if there was a way to limit the amount of flippers, it would be a good thing. And this is one last point I'll say on how flippers actually ruined a complete project, in my opinion, was the bulls on the block. Over 5,000-6,000 people were patiently waiting to get that. People that wanted to be a part of the community, people that wanted to mint it at a fair price, people that wanted to go about the drop correctly. And a lot of people got done dirty. You got too many whales and flippers that got involved, accumulating way too many bulls. And this is just my opinion. I think the project's ruined. Not enough people that really wanted to get in got in at the point. And when you see that what happened, it just, and I'm even going to be honest myself, I got in the project myself with the full intentions of flipping. I didn't even want a bull because I was thinking, hey, everyone's hyping this project up so much. Let me go ahead and buy a max of 10 bulls and then flip them all immediately. Luckily, I didn't get the bulls, and I'm glad that I didn't, because in hindsight, I was just like the other 90% that was thinking the same thing. And after you see what happened, it's in plain sight. Everyone got screwed. The average bull, if you think about with the gas fee, they paid over 2.2 ETH more or less. The floor price, I haven't looked at it recently. It's lower than that. So the majority of people had the same intentions as what I was thinking. They're not collectors. They got screwed and they ruined it. And people like me that kind of want to get into it, I'm not going to get into it now. I kind of have a bad taste. So that's just my opinion on how flippers had, in my opinion, ruined a project just like that.
So and I agree with everything you've just said, but I also think like there's 2 different things going on simultaneously. And we keep going back to the Nifty Gateway, and Nifty Gateway has done a great job at fixing it. doing a lot fewer drops. But what's interesting is like once Nifty Gateway became popular and everyone saw, if I buy this for X, I flip it for 10X. And then the NBA Top Shotters found out, the altcoin people found out, they all swarm in to try and do this. It diminishes the art, and it makes people not think of them as actual art, which the artist spent time, energy, emotion, effort creating these fabulous pieces. And then these open editions, Bill Eilish, Boss Logic. Boss Logic is kind of damaged his own brand since then with some of the comments that he's made. But so then you deal with this thing where now we introduce a burn mechanic. And so now we're going to pump out a bunch of art and we're going to do a burn mechanic. We're going to bring people back in. We're going to increase the value. So now we have these collectibles. And so now the collectibles have good ideas. If you owned a CryptoPunk, you got airdropped the ability, not airdropped, but you had the ability to get a Meebit for free. The apes introduced the kennel. And then now we're seeing like the gutter cats are immediately releasing rats. We're seeing the camels doing this. And so we're seeing the same mechanics being done that sign the peak of a market, right? When we saw that there was too much supply and not enough demand, we introduced a burn mechanic with Nifty Gateway. We see too much supply and not enough demand on these collectibles. And now the collectibles have to either do things to, one, control the floor by saying if you hold this, you might get something later, and two, have to create value by doing that. And that's just bad for the market in general. So I think that hopefully, a winter or the end of collectible summer long term will be good for collectibles because people will pack their bags and go home, and whatever roadmaps people have to pump these collectibles through the summer will create fewer, which will give us time to digest. Is a cranium great? Are these other projects great? And then the last thing I'm going to say is that Nick or Sophisticated had a really good point today. Is like people, if you are going to take a flipper mentality, that is totally fine. But what we're finding is it's a lot cheaper to buy the floor. If you think that there's a piece priced below floor, buy that piece and sell it at the floor all day, and you'll make micro gains versus trying to find a rare piece. I think there's a lot less liquidity right now in all of the projects in the more rare pieces. So that's just two thoughts to say. One, I think less flippers is good, but if you're going to be flipping, you should be thinking about it from that lens. So it's an interesting time for all of us.
Yeah, I agree. I don't agree with everything that Mal said and everything that Matt said. But what I do agree is all the ideas that the three of us have said are, we're all right. And this is actually what's being figured out right now. And I have a different view take, and you guys have this one, and it's probably going to end up somewhere mixing all these different ideas. But I think only one thing is necessary right now in the NFT market. That's all. Everything else is decoration, and that's money. So we need people who want to use some of their savings, some of the money in the bank on NFTs, new people. And we want the people that are already doing it to use more money. And this, once again, is the same in any industry. We need the industry itself to pump so that it can get established. Then it will start showing up more often on CNBC. It'll start showing up on CNN, and it starts getting to the mainstream. Characters in movies start talking about their NFTs, and the NFT culture truly becomes present. And so my main focus, ever since I came, when I joined, the reason I joined NFTs was not actually because of the art. I've told the story before, but in a sentence, I understood NFTs because I was listening to a conference, and they didn't talk about art. They just talked about what NFTs were. And I'm like, this is fucking genius. This is like the Bitcoin of contracts. This is gonna explode. And then I found out, whoa, 90% of it is art. That's curious. That's interesting. But the point is, NFTs are long-term. So what we need now is to get as big a market as possible. And that's going to come from different segments. One of those segments is the flippers. So I have a few friends now who are playing around with 0.5 ETH, and they're trying to build it up. You multiply that by 1 million people, we can get 100 million, 500 million, that's $500 million. You can get 5 billion. We need to get the NFT market cap up to $1 trillion. NFT market cap needs to compete with Bitcoin's market cap as soon as possible. I don't think it's going to happen in 2021 or 2022. Well, it's definitely not going to happen because Bitcoin is, in my view, is going to explode throughout this year or next year. but we need the market cap to be as big as possible. And we cannot underrate all of us that are playing around with 0.1s and 1 ETHs. Having said that, I put the fault of anything that goes wrong with bulls on the block or gutter cats or apes or cocks or dogs on the project founders, on the developers, on the people in front of the project. There's a project that you guys know I jumped in the beginning, which was the tiles. I now think it sucks. I think the reason it sucks is because of the people leading the project, and I have reasons to believe that. And that's why apes are great, because apes have great leaders. And so we can't point the finger at the flippers. Us flippers, all we're doing is like, okay, there's FOMO, there's hype, there's bulls on the block. Everybody's going to have one of these. I want to have one of these. Some people, unfortunately, paid way too much gas fees without realizing it. But most people paid way too much gas fees knowing exactly what the fuck they were doing, because the only way to do it is to go into the advanced settings and permit your MetaMask to allow you to put whatever fucking gas fees you want. Now, somebody might say, hey, dude, but hold on. I was on the Discord. They told me to do it. I didn't know what I was doing. Well, please underline the not financial advice component of your investments. Don't take financial advice. You got to do your own research. If anybody paid $500 in gas fees for bulls, they were stupid, because I was there at the minting moment. I tried to mint. It never went through. I upped my gas fees. It didn't go through. And I said, I'm not going to pay an ETH in gas fees for a fucking bull. I mean, I'd rather have a cat for that. I'd really rather have one good gutter cat than instead of that. So I think there's a lot to blame. Having said all that, we need collectors. We need artists. We need people to care more about the visuals and to really get in tune. Like now with my connection with this friend of mine that I just made, the artist of the cocks, I'm learning so many things. Like he was telling me today, no, but you got to realize that one piece, because I wanted to put a piece into the 69 million cock, and he says, no, but it's just not the same as the others. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's like explaining it to me and says it will just stand out too much. And I'm like, oh, there's okay, artists know what the fuck they're talking about. So I don't think we should point fingers at anybody. You know, I think everybody is. I'm launching my own project, like you guys know, after the summers with my NFTs, and we fucked up with the punks. Oh, just so you know, 3 of the punks that we minted were of artists that were living. And so we went and we bought back these cocks. Sorry, I said punks, I meant cocks. So we minted 69 cocks, but 3 of them are living artists. And he knew about it. He just didn't have a lawyer at the time. And I said, dude, I don't think you can do that. So we spoke to a lawyer. We bought them back from the collectors. We burnt them. And we made 3 new ones with public domain art. So these are the kind of mistakes that we all make. Artists are making them. NFTCulture is making them. Flippers are making them. Collectors are making them. All of us are making them. But the one thing we all need to agree on is we need to suck money into NFTs. We can go get it from cryptos. We can go get it from equities. We can get it from people spending too much money on hamburgers, whatever it might be. But we need people to care about wanting an NFT. And at some point today, later on, I'd just like to explain the cat narrative. I'm not going to do it now because it's off topic, but there is a cat narrative that needs to be understood about the 3,000, etc.
Yeah, I mean,
no one wants to say anything.
I was
sorry. I'm talking about the cats.
No, listen. I think you.
No, we need money, guys. One more thing I would say, and this is where I think NFTCulture has really made a big difference. This is why I think this YouTube channel is really taking off. And this is going to sound a little bit weird, but I'm almost certain almost everybody who's listening is going to get it immediately. I think what's happening in OpenSea right now is actually the most fun game I've ever played in my life. It's like Monopoly or a computer game. I'm having fun. And it's a game that I'm playing all the time. And my money is slowly growing. And so I think if we stop looking at OpenSea as a art collectors exchange service and actually look at OpenSea.game, like OpenSea is a game. Come in and play. You got to put it's like poker. You're playing poker, but instead of doing it with queens and jacks and kings and aces, and instead of getting a flop, what you get is a dog. You get a bull, and then you can sell it. And then some of them have these gold skin things, which is really weird, because then some of them have these weird things flying out of their eyes, and nobody knows what they are. Oh, they're laser eyes. What are laser eyes? It's Bitcoin. What the fuck is Bitcoin? It's such a fun game that's going on, and you get to make a little bit of cash along the way. I'm gonna miss it for 2 months.
I can tell
It's
you
really
that
fun.
real quick. Yeah, sorry. I can tell you that like, and I don't want to keep going down this path, but this Wizards project that came out a couple days ago, the Forgotten Runes Wizards cult. I literally was like just getting confident on it, and like, and I won't go down another rabbit hole for us, but like, I like the art, and I was like, you know what? Every time I see one that's below 0.06, I'm gonna buy it and I'm gonna list it for 0.09. And for like a day and a half, I just bought like 15 of these, and like it may not have been sold out immediately. I may have made a little bit less profit, but like to kind of close the loop on the flipping versus holding is like, I was able to make, you know, $500 a day for a few days in a row, which for someone that's not like wealthy or anything else, like if you could tell someone like, hey, if you're smart, find art. And I like the project. It was beautiful. It resonated with me because I like Final Fantasy and all the 16-bit games. There's another one that Nick hopefully is on to talk about in the near future. But it's just so cool that like you can make money and you can have a ton of fun. And that's the thing that's so exciting is like, it's been fun to meet Matt. Like Pio's out of nowhere become probably one of my best friends, just like out of nowhere. Danny, your family, like, and we're all having fun, and we can judge each other in a good way. We can hold each other accountable. We can recommend things. And so this community is just awesome. And there's no right way to do it. Like there's also no wrong way to do it. And that's what's exciting for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have a different strategy than you guys. Like, you know, Danny's obviously done well with the flipping. Mal, like that's really impressive. Like the 3-day run of like just making those minor flips, generating $500 a day, which, like you said, can be really game changing for people. You know, obviously Nick, that really calculated strategy. The strategy that I subscribe to more is more along the lines of miss all of the key drops that you're supposed to be in on, pick the losers every time and put your money there. Always sell at a loss, and for some reason, even though you're surrounded by all these really smart people that make money, never actually make money yourself, right? I think that when you start to subscribe to that philosophy, that's when you can really make a difference.
You're talking about me when I was doing nifty gateway, but
oh, let's talk about my nifty gateway bags then. No, but like my mission right now, right, is I want to find good projects, and whether I profit off them or not, of them or not, you know, who knows. But put myself in a position, I'm going to give myself a long time horizon. I want to get an ape with either an orange background that I like, or I want one of the Hawaiian shirts. The priority is the Hawaiian shirt ape. If I can get Hawaiian shirt, orange background, I don't know if that exists, but that's like the cream of the crop. But that's the goal. But I'm giving myself a year to do it. Okay.
It'll happen. I promise.
All right. Well, hey, Matt, any closing thoughts, bud? Thanks so much for coming on. What do you have to say? Let's go.
Oh, man. Closing thoughts. Put me on the spot here. Man, the only thing I can say is, in my opinion, we're about to see the best of two things happen here. I know it's a little off topic on NFTs, but I think a crypto bull market is about to happen, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a sell-off happen in NFTs. Now, this is a good and bad thing. Now, to some people that are flippers or trying to make money, the price of NFTs might drop, but this is where I see more users getting into the space. We start to see more collectors and real people wanting to be a part of this. And this is where people start to have a better entry level point. Things become more affordable. And when when projects are small and no one's talking about it, that is when to get in it. Because once you start hearing about it and everything and you're not in it, it's too late. It's too late. And right now, the only thing you're hearing on the mass media, NFTs are dead. NFTs are a fad. Anything bad. But if you're following the NFT space, we just had the source code for the World Wide Web just sell for $5 million. We just had a CryptoPunk sell for over 400 ETH. We're having massive NFT sales happen behind the scenes while the main media is saying one thing, other things are happening. So if you see an NFT drop-off happen, don't be discouraged. That's the time to get in, because this point next year, it's going to be even bigger. So I'll just kind of leave it at that.
Oh, I agree 100% with Matt. 100%. Yes, put the comment, Christian's comment.
So
Sell my
Christian
shit.
said, yeah, sell my shit so I can get the royalties. So everybody go and buy Christian stuff and then also sell it so he can get the royalties. And then I actually wanted to call out one more comment. Smack Talk Media said, PO buy an ape right now on stream. My response is send me 4 ETH. I'll send you my MetaMask wallet. Send me 4 ETH. I'll buy one.
Yeah, if I could go on,
Go,
Mel.
Go, Danny. No, I go.
Yeah, I completely agree with Matt. This is all new. We're the lucky ones. We're first come, first serve. I'm absolutely convinced what Matt said before when I wasn't online. He said that like when Marvel or when Nike or whichever, really big community out there gets into the collectibles in this way, they're going to probably be minting 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, and there's going to be very, very large community.
That's going to be big.
That's going to be the roadmap. You guys can expect like to have Marvel collectibles on OpenSea for like 100,000 mint. What I do think will happen though is the OGs who were around in 2021, the first semester of 2021, the OGs that are sitting in this room right now, they're going to be able to say in 2025 and 2030, when all these collectibles are massing the market, they're going to say, you know what? But I've got an ape. And right now, dude, you can't get an ape for less than 50 ETH. We can even talk in dollar terms because we don't know what Ethereum's going to be like. But you can't get an ape for less than $500,000 now. And people are going to say, but why? And you're going to say it's because it was the first ones, man. You weren't around. I tried to tell you. I tried to bring you in. And going on to scarcity thesis, I think they're going to say the same thing. So everybody knows they're going to say the same thing about punks. And I have a punk, and it's probably a diamond hands unless I'm able to switch it for another one. That will be the only condition. And the reason it's going to be a diamond hands, I love the art, and I don't really know the community, so I can't comment on that. But I want to have a CryptoPunk digital on my wall. And when people walk into my door in 10 years' time, they're going to look at me and going to say, wow, it would be so cool if that was yours, wouldn't it? Because everybody's going to know what a CryptoPunk is. And there's only going to be 10,000. And there's only 10,000 walls that in the planet that will be able to have one up there. Like certain restaurants will want to have one up there, and certain celebrities, like Jay-Z can never sell his CryptoPunk. It's done. He'd use it as his pick. So that's one less CryptoPunk in the market. And my thesis is one of the projects, and this is the last thing I'll say, one of the projects that's happening around now let's say throughout 2021, one of them will get third place. So punks, apes, and a third place. Who can be this third place? Well, so far we've got cats, now we're getting dogs, we've got pandas, we've got bulls, we're going to get rats, you've got the kennels, and we can go on. There's a whole meat bits, there's a whole list of possibilities for third place. I'd like to tell you what I think the third place is going to be. It's going to be the one with less mint than apes and punks. It's not going to be whatever 10,000 mint project out there, it's not going to get third place. Because third place needs something to differentiate it enough from first and second to pull itself up there. What a cat, for example, a cat is 3,000 mint. What a cat can say to an ape is, yeah, dude, but there's 10,000 of you. There's only 3,000 of me. And the same thing goes for what are they called? The demons. There's 6,666 demons. That's better than having 20,000 demons. Now, if you ask me, 2024, should they be minting 10,000? I don't know the economics of NFTs then. But if you ask me now, I really believe that nobody knows who number 3 is. Everybody knows who I think number 3 is, but nobody knows who number 3 is. But one thing that I'm convinced is one of the characteristics, one of the features of third place is having less mints than the first and second, which are closed at 10K. They can't have less. I mean, unless people start burning punks, which is not going to happen, etc. So to end, I've got a punk, I've got an ape, I've got the kennel dog of my ape, and I've got a cat. And I actually think I've got 1, 2, and 3. But we'll see. It might be a panda.
When you get back,
might be a cock.
It might be a cock. When you get back, I want to debate. And it's not just because I want to be different than you and I'm allergic to cats, but I really think that the Top Dog Beach Club might surprise everybody, and I hope it does. I think if we speak in top fives, cats are definitely there. They probably are 3, but it's going to be fun to debate, and that's what's cool is like we get to insert objective ownership.
Nobody knows.
The subjective opinions. It's so unique. I know we're running out of time for today, but first off, I just want to say thank you, Matt. You're welcome back anytime, and you're always welcome on the show. We'll promote you. We'll send links to your show and your Twitter. Everyone follow Matt. And before I give it to Pio as the expert on closing everything down, Danny, we love you and we're gonna miss you. And I have a feeling, because you already told us that you weren't gonna come on stream twice, I have a feeling we'll see more of you than
No, I'm cutting the cord. But just my last words would be thank you, Mal. Thank you, Pio. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, John. And thank you, Nick. For me, these 6 people have changed my life. 2-3 months ago, I had no idea what any of this is. And I see you all as my friends. I've invited you all to come to Portugal.
We're coming. We're going to make it happen.
Yeah, come here and we're going to have a retreat, just the 6 or 7 of us, whoever's coming, and we'll make some things happen. We'll do some lives from Portugal. That would be cool, by the way, with my sheep. We can have my sheep in the background and shit. But dudes, thank you so much. This is my last video until September, October. So for me, the whole thing started with NFTC culture, and now my summer ends because the auction is finished. I finished all of that, the Easter eggs. The last thing I'm doing is this. There will be no tweets. There will be no Discord. And thank you, everybody, for so much love. Pio, really, thank you so much. You were the one that pushed me through the door, and then Mal was one that gave me a big hug, and all the others. Thank you so much. All right? And by the way, shout out to Christian and all the amazing people that I've met on the Discord. I can't name them all now, but it's been an honor and a pleasure. And I'll be back September, October, maybe next year. I'm thinking January 2022 would be a good time. 6 months vacation seems enough, but we'll see.
If we come to Portugal, can we bring our cocks? All right, everybody. Have a good day. Thanks for watching. Danny's going on vacation for 6 months, apparently. Makes total sense.